Hey guys, and welcome to My Gaming Journal, where we examine video games in the format of a daily journal. For this episode, we are going to examine Miles Morales for the PlayStation 5. Spoiler warning for those who have not played the game. Please enjoy. Dear Journal. So the game starts off after 2018 Spider-Man, and Miles is just becoming the new Spider-Man. He's basically a Spider-Man trainee under Peter with his new phase. First thing you do is you take on Rhino, and you learn a couple new moves, and after that, Peter decides to go on a business trip, because of course he does, and you are now on your own to take care of Harlem. Throughout the game, you get to know intriguing supporting characters who each have a different type of relationship with Miles. Rather than go into detail about it, here's a montage. The biggest thing to remember about this is that there is a war between Raxxon, which is an evil corporation, and the Underground, which is a revolutionary that will break the laws to further their goal, which is destroying Raxxon. Needless to say, chaos ensues. You also get to meet your Uncle Aaron, who is, spoiler alert if you've not watched Into the Spider-Verse, he is the Prowler. And a break from the story, in terms of the gameplay, if you played the first game, you kind of have a rough idea of how it's gone. But what I loved about this game in particular versus the first one are just the subtle differences where, for example, Miles' swinging is much more chaotic than Peter's is, because he's just starting out. His music is hip-hop music instead of the classic orchestra music that Peter has, and his suits are amazing. I love the Spider-Verse suit, and I love Spider-Man 2020 suit. My biggest criticism, though, is because the story is pretty fast pace in terms of the beats, because it's only like an 8-hour or so game, and compared to the first game, there's just a lot to pack in a short amount of time. And to me, it just feels more like Witcher DLC rather than a full-fledged game, and it sucks because this deserves to be full-fledged. But anyway, back to the story. Miles finds out that his best friend Finn is the leader of the Underground, and he now has to try to find a way to stop her without hurting her, but also finding a way to stop Raxxon from being evil. He decides to infiltrate Underground as a recruit. It does not go well, obviously. By then, we're basically halfway through, and I'll start off with the second half of this episode talking about glitches. So the game's filled with glitches. Now, it may be because the PS5 is a new system. It may be because Insomniac didn't have time to make a patch for it. But the glitches in this game are kind of fun because you get to be a street light just swinging around, or you get to be a brick. And it's just, you don't run into that stuff anymore, so that's pretty cool. But it is a con at the end of the day. And spoiler, Prowler has his own agenda working with Raxxon, but he does want to protect Miles because Miles is his last family that let him in. Miles, of course, is not having it, and meanwhile Finn has basically dumped Miles and is gone full-fledged heel. And we are now at the last part of the mission, and incredibly beautiful looking winter setting in the middle of a blizzard, and it's basically a war between Raxxon guards and Underground soldiers, and you are just trying to get to the end. You fight Finn as the final boss, and you do manage to beat her, and she learns her ways. She understands that she was wrong, and And in order to save the city from a Raxxon bomb going off, she decides to sacrifice herself. And a few months roll by, the Raxxon CEO is in prison, thankfully. Everyone in Harlem loves Miles as Spider-Man, and they all basically know he's Spider-Man, but they don't care. That's their Spider-Man. And then, not quite cut to credits, there's a teaser for the next game, and then we cut to credits. Overall, the game was pretty fun, and it's an intriguing successor to the first Spider-Man game. Definitely deserved more game, but at the end of the day, it was still fun, and I definitely recommend playing this game, even if you do run into the occasional brick swinging glitch. That being said, I'm going to give this game an 85%. Now, tune in next time where we examine my most anticipated game, Cyberpunk 2077. Assuming it doesn't get delayed again. See ya then.